I'm going to show you how to create a post-purchase thank you flow that turns first-time customers into repeat customers. My name's Gavin. I run an email and SMS marketing agency, and this is literally all I do. Email and SMS marketing. The post-purchase thank you flow is one of the most important flows when it comes to your overall retention strategy, and I'm going to show you exactly how to build that within Klaviyo in a way that is personalized, but also direct. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Check out my description of this video. There's a bunch of free resources, a bunch of other newsletters, cool stuff that I give away. But without wasting any more of your time, let me show you how to do it. Come on. Okay, so let's do this. What you're actually looking at here is a Miro board that has outlines for both of the flows that we're going to be designing today, the post-purchase and the fulfilled order. Now, I know I said that we're going to be building one flow, but we're actually going to be building two, and there's a reason for that, and let me explain that. You have access to this board. I'm not going to go too into depth right now, but what it does is it shows you the outlines for the flows and the notes for the emails that you want to have, rather than copy notes to include in these emails. So let's go into Klaviyo. What we're going to do is we're going to create two flows. One triggered off of somebody placing an order, and one triggering off of somebody having their fulfilled order metric come through. I'm going to explain why we do that in a second. First thing we're going to do though is we're going to click Create Flow. We're going to click Build Our Own. We're going to call this one, I call it IB, just because we know what's the name of the company. IB Post Purchase. Going to create manually. And we're going to trigger this flow to come off of somebody placing an order. Now this store is integrated with WooCommerce, so it's triggered off of a WooCommerce metric, but in some cases, maybe triggered off of a Shopify placed order metric. But we're triggering this flow off of the placed order metric. Confirm. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to create a conditional split. And we're going to do this. We're going to say what somebody has or has not done, placed order equals 1 over all time. I'm going to explain this in a second. Then we're going to create another conditional split that says what somebody has or has not done, placed order equals 2 over all time. Then we're going to create two 20-minute delays. We're going to do time delay, and we're going to say 20 minutes. And we're going to say 20 minutes. Now, the reason we're doing this is because we are going to create two emails. We're going to add an email here and an email here. These emails are going to be plain text emails from the founder. Plain text means emails written as if they are written from a one-on-one conversation. Let me show you here. If we go edit this email, okay, we're going to click here, edit. Once again, you have the notes for what's actually going to go into these emails here. But instead of doing drag and drop, you're going to click text only. And it allows you to write an email as if it was a conversation between the reader and the individual sending it, rather than a creatively designed email. In these first two emails, I'm going to go back to the flow. You're going to actually have an email that just thanks the reader for their first purchase, written as if it's coming from the founder, because you know it's their first purchase. And I said 20 days here. This should be 20 minutes. You're going to say, hey, thank you so much for your first order and your support of our business. It means so much. It's people like you that keep us going. If you have any questions, just reply to this email. These two emails here are not designed to sell. They're designed to be plain text emails designed to form a connection between the reader and the founder of the business, right? The reason we have a 20-minute delay here is because within Shopify and other platforms like WooCommerce, there is an order confirmation email that comes out regardless of whether or not you have an email coming out in Klaviyo. You don't want to have an email that's triggered off of the Play Store that says, hey, we've gotten your order, thank you so much, and it's creatively designed, because Shopify already sends that email. You're going to be doubling up. So you have a 20-minute delay here to ensure that the Shopify or WooCommerce email comes out first, says, hey, we've got your order. And then 20 minutes later, you have the plain text email from the founder coming out saying, thank you so much for your first order here. It means so much for your support because A, it doesn't clash, and B, it looks more human. 20 minutes after the order's placed, it feels like it's actually a person talking to you. What this does is it builds that connection, which allows you to sell more down the road and increase your repeat order rate because there's a connection between the brand and the founders. You do that in the first email here. If they've placed an order equals 2 overall time, meaning it's the second order that triggered this flow, you're going to have another 20-minute delay, and you're going to have a similar email come out that says, hey, thank you so much for your support. It means a lot. Thank you for your second order. If you have any questions, let us know. These emails here do not sell. They get great engagement because they're plain text emails, meaning high open rates, high click rates, high response rates, and they also develop a great connection between the brand and the readers themselves. Make sure you turn off smart sending. Click this email here. Turn off smart sending. Enable UTM tracking, of course, to allow you to track everything. In terms of how you want these emails to be written, in this document I've given you, you have a link right there, or rather a description of what you want to have in that video. Just there, or rather in the email. It's right here. I've given you notes. Okay, and I've given you actual explanations as to why we do this. So that is your post-purchase thank you flow triggered off of the placed order metric. Also really important that you add these 2 filters to the top, which is canceled order and, so we go here, add filter, what somebody has or has not done, canceled order, 0 times since starting this flow, and what somebody has or has not done, refunded order 0 times since starting this flow. That prevents you from having any crossover or actually talking to somebody after they've canceled or refunded their order. There's no need to be like, hey, thank you so much, yay, and they've canceled. It doesn't make any sense. Hit save. That's your post-purchase. Then you're going to want to create another flow that's triggered off of the fulfilled order metric. So we click create flow. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. But we're going to go IB -- fulfilled. We're going to click create manually, and we're going to trigger this not off of somebody placing an order, but off of somebody, apologies for that throat clear, having their order fulfilled. The reason we do that is because this allows us to get better accurate reads on the time between when they're probably likely to get the item and when we want to start cross-selling and upselling other items. So the first email we're going to send is an email that notifies them that their orders have been fulfilled. You're going to click remove that right there. You're going to have in the email, depending on the integration, all of the important metrics, if it's Shopify, related to their order. Hey, this is where your item's going, this is where you can get it, this is when it's coming, all that sort of stuff. And you bring that directly into this email here, and you can then click apply for transactional status. So this email, you want to turn off the fulfilled order email within Shopify to prevent any clash, have it come from Klaviyo, bring in all the important information regarding their item, and then apply for transactional status. What that means is it allows you to send an email that's going to get better deliverability, and in the inbox, I'll show you here, we click here, the email is more likely to end in the updates tab instead of the promotions tab, right? You get better deliverability if it ends up here. So apply for transactional status, and essentially it just allows it to get higher priority. Then what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what the average time is between when the order is fulfilled, when it's been shipped from the warehouse, and when they're likely to get the item. So in this case, we're going to assume it's 4 days. We're going to assume it takes 4 days, or rather, we're going to assume it takes 4 days for the order to be shipped and for it to arrive at their house. We're then going to create an email that comes 6 days after. And then we're going to do this. We're going to click create trigger splits. And we're going to create different trigger splits based off of the item they bought. Now you can create as many collection trigger splits as you want, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sending people down different paths based off of the collection of item they bought. I.e., if they bought in the hat collection, the shirt collection, or the pant collection, we want to send them down different pathways in these flows using trigger splits to then upsell and cross-sell different items based off of what they've bought. Okay? Really important that we do that. And what we're going to do here is we're going to assume there's only 2 collections that this business sells. And the reason we don't do a conditional split and we instead do a trigger split is because trigger splits take the information from the item or the metric that triggered the flow. In this case, it's the fulfilled order metric. Now we're going to say here, collection, it might not be collection, it might be category, item category contains, so let's say accessories. Going to hit save. We're going to assume they're only doing accessories, and let's find one other one. Now you can do as many as you want here depending on what your appetite for work is. we're going to say hats. So let's assume these guys only sell accessories and hats, okay? And we know after 6 days they would have gotten their item. So we're going to create an email here. And in this email, we're going to say, hey, I've given you notes here. This is email 1B. Give them education, right? Now, in some cases, you might not need to educate, for example, how to use a product. If they bought a shirt, you don't need to educate them how to use a t-shirt. But if they're selling supplements or something like that, you're going to want to have educational material. How to use XYZ, how to care for it, how to actually make sure you get the most out of XYZ, educate. What you're trying to do is encourage use of the product, because the more use somebody gets by getting educated, the more value they're going to get from the product, which means their value perception of your business and what you sell tilts, meaning they're more likely to buy a second time. So what you're going to do is 1B is going to have essentially educational information about what they've bought, right? Then what you're going to do is you're going to jump back into this flow. You're going to turn off smart sending for all these emails because you don't need this here. We consider these emails high priority, meaning they should be delivered to everybody. What you're going to do is you're going to add another time delay. Personally, I like the idea of anywhere. In this board, I have it outlined as 7 days. You can go a little bit shorter, to be honest, but I would say 4 days in this case. We'll just say 5. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. 5 days. And you're going to have another email. Okay? And you're going to start figuring out which items, based off of if they bought, for example, accessories, can be cross-sold here. Do you want to sell more accessories? Do you want to sell other items in different collections, knowing they haven't bought those collections because of the trigger split up here? For example, if you sell furniture and you're selling a table, odds are you're not going to sell another table to somebody, but you could sell chairs. And this is where you can start creating these splits. Now, in this document here, I'm encouraging both continued use, but I'm also asking for a cross-sell opportunity. So in these emails here, you want to start cross-selling based off of the collection of item that they've bought. Right? So hats, do we sell more hats? Potentially. Let's say have an increased purchase of the hats, right? We can definitely do that, okay? Here, if it's accessories, maybe we sell more accessories and we try and sell hats as well, okay? What we're also going to do then, after this, is we're going to do conditional splits. We're going to say what somebody has or has not done, placed order equals 1 overall time. Same here. What somebody has or has not done. Placed order equals 1 overall time. Okay? Now what we're doing here is we're then going to have another time delay here. And we're going to say forward. We're going to add this time delay above it. We're going to say 4 days. Okay, we're going to clone this, 4 days. And what we're going to do here is we're going to decide if we want to incentivize a second purchase. Because if they go down the yes path, they've only placed an order once, perhaps we want to send an email here that gives them an incentive to place a second order. Keep in mind, the second order is typically more profitable because you're not spending as much money on advertising to get them across the line. So it may be worth incentivizing that second purchase with, say, a 10%, 15% off discount towards their next purchase. So in this email here, we have that incentive. Cool. You'll notice there's a difference of 5 days and 4 days. I'll let you decide what kind of time frames you think are reasonable here in terms of these splits. But there is one thing we have to address still. This path here. So if the trigger split, the item that they ordered, doesn't meet any of these categories, we know that it's either an item that has been uncategorized or it's an item that's in a category that we're not treating as super high priority. So what we can do then is we can go here and we can say, hey, let's create a conditional split in the same way that we've done before, what somebody has or has not done. Placed order equals 1 overall time, and then we literally just have an email similar to ones down here where we incentivize a second purchase. And that's how we create a fulfilled order flow. Now when you create sequences like this, when you separate the sequences in an intelligent way, post-purchase and fulfilled order separately, you create emails that are more specific to the individual's customer journey, and you create sequences that increase the repeat order rate. That's how you build a post-purchase thank you flow and a fulfilled order flow. If you like this video, let me know if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. Subscribe to the newsletter. In the description of this video is a bunch of cool free tips that I give out. I post videos like this twice a week as well. So check these out, check the channel out, subscribe. And if you want to chat email marketing, book a call with me. Link down in the description of the video. Thanks for watching.